Is Trump doing a good job? Good evening, and welcome to Week Speak News. Tonight, we take a comprehensive look at President Donald Trump's performance during his current term in office. With deep divisions across the country and major global challenges, the question persists. Is President Trump doing a good job, or is his leadership falling short? In this extended report, we'll examine his policies, approval ratings, economic data, and how his decisions are shaping the United States and its role in the world. When President Trump returned to office, his campaign echoed many familiar themes: restoring American jobs, securing the border, renegotiating trade deals, protecting constitutional rights, and challenging what he calls the deep state in Washington. His early actions reflected these priorities. Within the first months, Trump signed executive orders to fast-track energy projects, cut federal regulations, and limit new federal hiring. He proposed new tax cuts for middle-income families while preserving corporate tax reductions from his previous administration. From a purely pro-business standpoint, his first-year agenda aimed at creating a more favorable environment for employers and investors. The U.S. economy under Trump's current term has seen a mix of encouraging and concerning signs. GDP growth has averaged 2.5% annually so far, slightly above the post-2008 recovery trend. Unemployment has remained low, around 3.7%, with especially strong numbers in construction, energy, and manufacturing. But inflation has been a major issue, with annual rates hovering between 4 and 6%. Consumer prices for essentials, food, fuel, housing, have outpaced wage growth for many Americans. A report from the Federal Reserve notes that household debt has also climbed as families struggle to keep up. We're creating the strongest economy this country has ever seen. Jobs are coming back, factories are opening. We're winning again, folks. Yet critics point to the ballooning national debt, which has surpassed $36 trillion, and argue that tax cuts and spending hikes have deepened the nation's long-term fiscal challenges. The administration's fiscal policy has fueled growth in the short term, but at the cost of higher deficits that will have to be addressed down the road. Immigration has remained at the center of Trump's agenda. His administration expanded border barriers, increased funding for ICE, and tightened rules on asylum and legal immigration. Supporters argue these policies protect American jobs and enhance national security. We finally have a president who is serious about securing our borders. That's what we elected him to do. But the administration's approach has drawn backlash from human rights groups and legal experts, who say it has led to unnecessary suffering and violated international agreements. Families are being separated. Asylum seekers are being turned away without fair hearings. The long-term damage to America's image is significant. Federal courts have repeatedly intervened, blocking or limiting some of the administration's stricter measures. Meanwhile, unauthorized border crossings remain a complex issue, with fluctuating numbers year to year. On the global stage, Trump's presidency has been defined by a focus on bilateral deals, skepticism toward multinational institutions, and an emphasis on military strength. Trump has scaled back U.S. commitments to NATO and other traditional alliances, arguing that American taxpayers should not bear an unfair share of the cost. He withdrew from several international agreements, including climate accords and arms treaties. The administration has pursued aggressive trade negotiations with China, restructured deals with Mexico and Canada, and clashed with Iran over nuclear ambitions. We will not allow other countries to take advantage of us. The era of putting foreign interests before our own is over. On the military front, Trump authorized strikes on terrorist networks in the Middle East and ramped up cyber operations against rival states. While his supporters praise these moves as decisive, critics warn of diplomatic isolation. We've seen a withdrawal from global leadership that leaves the US vulnerable and less able to shape world events. Recent tensions with China, Russia, and Iran have kept the Pentagon on high alert, with defense spending at record levels. Trump's approach to environmental policy has focused on expanding domestic energy production and reducing regulations he says stifle economic growth. The administration opened new federal lands to oil and gas drilling, approved major pipeline projects, and scaled back climate regulations. These policies have revitalized American energy independence. We're less reliant on foreign oil and gas than ever before. But environmental groups warn that these actions come at a steep cost. Carbon emissions have risen, and extreme weather events, from wildfires to hurricanes, have fueled debates about the urgency of climate action. We're losing valuable time. The US should be leading the world in climate solutions, not retreating from them. Segment 6, Political Division and Public Opinion. 15, 2017. Anshaw, voiceover over polls, protests, town halls. The Trump presidency continues to reflect and fuel sharp political divisions. Recent Gallup polls place his approval ratings between 42 and 46% overall, with support from more than 85% of Republicans and just 10–15% of Democrats. The divide extends beyond policy. Debates over media bias, election integrity, and the role of government have grown more heated, contributing to a highly polarized electorate. Trump is the first president in a long time who actually cares about regular Americans. He's dangerous for democracy. His rhetoric divides people and undermines trust in our institutions. Social media has amplified these divisions, with disinformation campaigns and partisan echo chambers shaping public debate. Looking ahead, the Trump administration faces key challenges. The national debt and deficit remain major concerns, with interest payments alone consuming a growing share of the federal budget. Healthcare remains an unresolved issue, with no clear plan to lower costs or expand access. Abroad, tensions with China, Russia, and Iran demand diplomatic finesse, while crises in Ukraine, Israel, and the Pacific require careful U.S. engagement. Domestically, Trump must navigate a divided Congress, legal challenges to his executive orders, and the court of public opinion as he advances his agenda. The next 2 years will determine whether Trump's presidency can build lasting achievements or remain mired in partisan battles and short-term victories. In the end, whether President Trump is doing a good or bad job depends on who you ask and what values and priorities you hold. His supporters see a president fighting for American strength and prosperity. His critics see a leader who divides the nation and undermines key institutions. However, what is clear is that his decisions will shape not only his legacy, but the future of the United States and its role in the world. Thank you for joining us for this in-depth report. This is Week Speak News. Stay with us for more analysis and updates.